Hi, I'm Jeremy Crosby.
And I'm Nick Boucher. We're your hosts for the program that's all about your city, Talking Fitchburg.
Every weekday, we pull together the news, events, and information you need to stay on top of what's happening in the city of Fitchburg.
Find Talking Fitchburg on cable TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and our live stream on the web. Plus, you can find all our headlines and stories on Facebook, YouTube, and our video on-demand service. This is your city.
Keep up with Talking Fitchburg and the issues affecting you and your neighbors.
Want to know what's happening in your city? Get Notify Me messages from the City of Fitchburg. Visit fitchburgwi.gov on your computer or mobile device and select the big Notify Me button on the left. Enter your email and/or phone number, whichever is best for you to get notifications. Scroll down the list and select all the topics you're interested in to receive email or text messages about. You'll be notified every time one of your topics is updated. Sign up for Notify Me, one more way to keep up with your Fitchburg government.
Hello, everyone. So it's almost 6:33, and we're going to start with the presentation. Mike. So thank you for coming to this listening session, informational and listening session in District 2. I am Mayor Julia Frata. I have been your mayor for 2 years already, but before that I was in the council for 8 years representing this district, District 2. So today I invited some special guests that are going to help me with the first hour of our presentation. So the first hour is going to be informational. We are going to share some information what is going on in this district. And then in the second hour, we are open to all of you for questions. And also we are going to ask you a question that you can start thinking about. What are the 3 things that you think that they are a concern for you about the city? And what are the things that we are doing right? That one, we are going to have that discussion in the second hour. So the first, so I introduce myself. I am Julia. I live close to the McKeevan Park. I have been living in this community for 21 years. And if I have this thick accent, it's because I came to this country 30 years ago as an international student. And then I decided with my husband to stay here. So practically, when we moved here 21 years ago, we raised our kids here. Our kids went to Leopold School. And then we enjoy all the activity from the city, the recreational, the park. Our best friends that they are part of our family are Fitchburg families. So I also have with you the 2 elders that represent the district. Please stand up. Bill Jetzer and Gabriela Gerhardt. They are going to also do some presentation and some informational about the district. And then we are going to introduce our new chief of fire chief, Scott Server here. Scott, he's going to do an introduction about himself. Welcome to Fitchburg, Chief. And then we are going to change that. Our police chief, where are Chief Morales? He's also going to do a presentation. And then our economic development director, Mike Zimmerman here, he's going to tell us all the great things that are happening in this corridor or in District 2. All of us, we need to do all of this in 1 hour, okay? And then we are open the second hour for listening. And if you have any other questions regarding the city, we are all happy to answer those questions. So this is our common council. We have 2 new council members that they were elected in April. So also Gabriela Gerhardt is the president of the council. So she was elected for the 2nd year. This is the elected officials. This is the map with our district. The purple one is District 2. Where most of you, I assume, live. And now I'm going to call Chief Scott Sever for his introduction.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for coming by. My name is Scott Sarver, as the mayor said, and I am out here in my third week as fire chief of the city of Fitchburg. So it's going great. Everything they told me in the hiring process is true. Everybody's really nice and friendly and welcoming, and everybody has the best of intentions. So that is very good for me. So getting my feet wet, working with a lot of people, trying to form a lot of good relationships. One of the reasons I wanted to come here tonight. But back to me, I grew up in Eastern Iowa, graduated from college, University of Iowa, which I just bought tickets to the Badgers-Iowa game coming up. So I don't know what color I'm going to wear. But anyway, I graduated from University of Iowa, and then I moved out to Colorado. I was fortunate enough to have family friends, which allowed me to travel to Colorado and go skiing most of my childhood. That's the only way we could afford it, with a free place to stay. So I was very fortunate, and I was able to develop that goal or dream to move out there after college and kind of experience that firsthand. Well, 33 years later, I've come back to the Midwest and Wisconsin. But I was a ski patroller, ski bum for a while, and then I found the fire service through mutual friends and coworkers. So I started in the mountains up there as a resident firefighter, which is very similar to the internships that we have here in Fitchburg for young folks. And then I made my way down to Denver and became a full-time career firefighter down there. And I transitioned from firefighter to firefighter paramedic, lieutenant, captain, battalion chief, several other titles. And along that way, when I started down there in 1998, the community I was working in was much like Fitchburg. It was facing significant growth at a rapid pace, with all kinds of questions of how do we do this the right way for the community? How do we respond the right way for the community? So I'm very familiar. I was able to watch that take place. I was able to see a lot of successes and some challenges that maybe we could have done a little bit better on. So I felt like when I was going through the hiring process, I was looking at the same places where I started. So it was a really good connection and fit. So I was able to experience all that. My organization along the way saw a very significant benefit to merging with other organizations and consolidating. So I started on an agency with about 75 people in the fire department. And when I left, we had about almost 800 employees. And I started with 5 stations and ended up with 29 stations. So I saw all that growth and, like I said before, the positives and some of the negatives that are associated with that. And I had some really good role models to watch kind of manage that change process. So again, excited. I think I can bring a lot of that and offer that advice in my specific area for sure. And a lot of it's calming people down and helping them understand pace and patience. So looking forward to that. So back to Fitchburg. Some of my goals initially are really to get to know the people that are working for me, become a really good team member with the city, my city partners, and then get to know the community and what those needs are. Obviously short term, any kind of gaps in response and things like that. Long term, the fire service in general, including Fitchburg and our neighbors, are really struggling with recruitment and retention of part-time or kind of similar to volunteer part-time firefighters that are working as a second job or working as a part-time job, going to school or something like that. So lots of challenges with recruitment and retention of people. We're all kind of competing for the same pool, and every year that kind of gets a little bit smaller. So we're going to work really hard on that. Obviously, we want to recognize our community. There's a lot of diversity within Fitchburg, and we want to really focus on trying to attract folks that represent what we have going on in our community. So we'll be focusing on that, looking for ways to respond more efficiently and more effectively for community, trying to look proactively into the future about best practices for response, interaction and management of the fire service. Every year we have, it seems like, a new significant threat in the fire service that we have to adapt to. Like right now, you may have heard in the news media or any other of your information outlets about lithium-ion batteries. They're they're everywhere and they're great, right? They're in this thing that I'm holding right here. And they work great, they do great things, but there's a lot of hazards associated with those that we haven't figured out yet. So that'd be one example of things we want to make sure we're keeping up with the trend and the best practice to deal with. So we're not having significant problems with those. But other than that, just really figuring out where I'm driving is a good one too. So luckily I'm not using my GPS as much as 2 weeks ago. But no, just looking forward to be a good, helpful part of the community and make sure the fire department is meeting the expectations of you, the citizens, and the city expectations as well. So thanks for having me tonight.
So I'm going to go very quick on this. This is some of the city statistics. We are home of 1,000 businesses, 18,000 labor force. Our unemployment rate is around 1.9%. We are a growing population, 35,000 people. In the last 10 years, we grew 35% in our population. We are, as January 2025, we are at 5.85 billion equalized value. This is how much our city is worth. Our tax levy for the 2025 budget was $32 million, and the tax levy, and our budget was around $42 million. Last year, we accomplished something that 1 in 6 municipalities in the state of Wisconsin have, and this is we are AAA bond, so by Moody's. So this one is because we have great financial policies. We have great debt ratios, and we are doing very good with our, finance. So, and this is something that several, administration, several go back maybe 10, 15 years ago that we decided to, we want to be this type of, or the community with AAA. And this is allow us to go when we issue bonds to pay for some of our big expenses. Like now we are building the police facility. Chief Morales is going to explain a little bit more of that. When we go and ask we need to issue some bonds to pay for that, we are getting lower interest rate. So saving a lot of taxpayer money in that. So our median income is around $94,000. And this is something new that we just got. Our average home in city of Fitchburg has been going up. In 2024 was $457,000, and now is almost $504,000. So this is an average home in the city of Fitchburg. And this is why the city is working in a lot of housing policies and initiatives to see how we can start building more workforce housing in the city. Last year, for the 2025 budget, our total average property pay for city services for an average home of $457,000. The city portion of the taxes was $2,654 a year. So even though you receive a nice bill of $9,000, 1/3 of that money comes to us, and we have control of that. And also we have a Chamber of Commerce that is one of our biggest partners. They have almost 400 members. And they are also represent our business bureau. So they get some of the tax room tax that the city collect from the hotel. They are getting some of that money to promote the city. They are doing all the promotional activity from the city. So the city, I'm going to talk about this. This is a citywide update. The 2026-2035 Mayor's Proposed Capital Improvement Plan was released June 6th. What is that? Practically is an infrastructure budget. We work on that infrastructure budget during the summertime, and it's a plan for 10 years where we determine what are the things that the city needs to buy, the big equipment, facility, road construction, and vehicles, and all these expenses, for the fire department, a ladder truck, or the police vehicles, So we put together a plan for 10 years, and we have an idea what are those projects. So we are doing a forecasting about which one of those projects are priority. So that is released. The Common Council now will have the opportunity to submit amendment to my plan, and they can do that until July 21st, and then the Council will approve this on August 12th. This is saved in the website, and if you want to learn more about that, you can go to our website and look for this plan, and also reach out to me. And if you have any questions about the plan and you want to learn more, please come to me or some of the elders here. The two elders here are part of the Finance Committee. Gabriela is the chair of Finance, so they are very well versed in finance, so you can go also to them. The other thing that we just started working is the 2026 budget, okay? This is a long process. The budget usually is out and approved by the second week of November. So we already started working on that. We are finalizing 2 neighborhood plans because, as you know, the city is growing and we need to think in the future how the city is going to grow and where it's going to grow. So these 2 plans is the Greenfield and the South Stoner plan. They are also, all this information is saved in the website. Are there in the final stages, and then they're coming to approval to council around September. They're running through commission and committee right now. The sustainable plan, the first sustainable plan that the city put together was approved in April, and this is a great plan. We have 8 categories that we need to focus on, more than 100 items of things to do. The city is already doing a lot of things for sustainability. One of my biggest priority is like start replacing all our vehicles from gas to electric one. And so far, the city has purchased in the last 2 years more than 10 electric vehicles. We are already purchased 6 pickup trucks. So people in public works, they love it. So this is great. And also we can get the rebate, a direct payment from the federal government. We hope so, but you know what I mean? You never know. So we are also finalizing the first strategic plan for the city. We started with this process last year. It has been taking a little bit longer, but the idea is to finalize and approve it by the end of July. We have a lot of parks development. I don't know, you're driving the city, you will see that we are building new parks or replacing parks. We are improving our parks. I love parks. I was part of the Park Commission for 3 years. One of my priorities is to continue investing in our parks because I think people enjoy them. This is something that improve the quality of life in our city, the residents. This is a very well money spent in the city. So the comprehensive plan and zoning code revision is another big project that the city is going to embark in the fall. It's going to take around 1.5 years to do this. The zoning code, we need to change it because it's old. We have never changed it. So, and in order if we want to improve housing in the city and to build different type of housing in our neighborhood or new neighborhood, we need to improve our zoning code. Housing plan, we are also revising our 2018 housing plan. Mike is going to explain a little bit more about that. As I mentioned, we are working on several housing initiatives with the council. The city 2 years ago closed 2 successful tax incremental districts, and we decided to keep those districts open for another year to use the increment to create our first affordable housing fund. And we have around $10 million, and we already, in the last council meeting, I proposed to the council how we can use those funds. I think the council approved those. So the idea is, Mike is going to explain a little bit more about that, but we are working on that too. We also are moving forward with a public and private partnership to build around 100 workforce housing. And when we talk about workforce housing, who are those people? Our teacher, our firefighter, our police officer, people that they make enough that they don't qualify for some of the assistance for housing, but also they don't make enough to pay for a full mortgage, like $2,000 or $3,000 mortgage. And also we are working with some minor changes in our zoning coming this summer. And next, I'm going to move to District 2 alders.
Hello, hello. So we can do quick introductions to ourselves. I'm Gabriela Gerhardt. I am one of the 2 alders in District 2. I was elected in April of 2020, so right at the beginning of the pandemic. Very happy that we are now in person all the time now. I also was elected council president this year, so that means I have a couple extra responsibilities. And a little bit about me, I serve, well, in terms of my council service, right now I'm on the Finance Committee, I chair that. I'm on the Plan Commission, so all of the different buildings in the city go through Plan Commission. I'm also on Transportation and Transit with Bill, and oh, you're not on there anymore. Oh gosh. So I'm on Transportation and Transit, and then also Housing Advisory. So those are the kind of the things I dig into on council, but obviously we cover a little bit of everything. And then in terms of my priorities, sustainability has always been a really important issue to me. Housing is very important. And then also transportation, I think, is a huge issue in the city. All those big things, And then in my day job, I work for Habitat for Humanity of Dane County. I do fundraising for them. And you may also know me, I hunt for 4-leaf clovers, so people can sometimes see me on the side of the road looking for 4-leaf clovers. So if you've seen that, that might be me. So yeah.
Do you have a big collection?
Yes, I have a world record collection. So I can tell you more about that some other time. And also one other note, I know not everyone's here from District 2, but I do a city, Fitchburg newsletter. It's relevant to everybody in the city, not just people in District 2. So if anyone's not on that but would like it, I do it about once every 2 months, maybe sometimes once a month if there's a lot going on. So grab my card, let me know if you want to be added, and I'd be happy to add you.
Hi, I'm Bill Jetzer. I'm the other alder in District 2. I took Julia's seat when she became mayor. My wife and I have been in Fitchburg since 1996. We have 3 grown children. A little about us, I guess I like to say that, we're big bikers. I like to say that my first car is my bike, my second car is my cargo bike, my third car is the bus, and my 4th car is a car. So some of my hobbies are bike related. My wife and I created an event recently. We were able to raise $1,200 for Cycling Without Age. We're trying to bring a trishaw to the city of Fitchburg. So that people with mobility challenges can feel the wind in their hair, just like anybody else on a bike. And my kids were gracious enough to get me a 360-degree camera for Father's Day. So I'm going to try and put all of our trails onto Google Street View with that. So that'll be an interesting project for me. I've been on City Council since 2023, and I'm currently sitting on the Board of Public Works. Shout out to anybody else who happens to be on the board. I'm on the Resource Conservation Commission. Diane was a longtime member. She's in the audience tonight. And then the Finance Committee as well. And my biggest passions are for things like energy efficiency and transportation and, how do we get how can we build our city so that we have less need for transportation? And I guess that's maybe about it for now. So go ahead and take over.
And we can go through the presentation just a little bit. A couple things here. So wanted to mention the parks. We've got some amazing parks across the city, but some particularly great parks in Fitchburg. Kids Crossing Playground, which is at McKee Farms Park, which many people love. It is in somewhat of disrepair, and so we are planning to replace it in 2026. We're currently working on the design. We just sent that out to Parks Commission on approval of a design consultant to help with that process. Since it's such an important part of the city, we want to make sure that people have input. So if you have ideas about Kids Crossing, please make sure you're involved in that process. The McKee Park Shelter is also going to have siding replaced this summer, just something that has to be done on a regular basis. We also have a new open shelter at the Inclusive Playground, which is also in McKee Farms Park, right behind the splash pad. If you've never been there, it's a really beautiful park, well worth checking out. We also have a new park that will be open in the fall of 2025, and that's temporarily being called The Hub. I think we're going to name that park soon. We're going to get a different name for it. But that is literally just over there on Traceway Drive. There's going to be some beautiful park space, but there's also a great community center / park shelter there. It's got indoor space, and what's great about that is we have community spaces like this that are generous enough to host us for events like this, but now we'll actually have a city space to do city events, polling place, perhaps in the future, other items. So we really love that that's coming to the community. And also just to note, North Fish Hatchery Road, this whole area here, has about 11% of the city's population and has no parks, except for the golf course. But so anyway, this is the first park in that area, which we're really proud of that we're finally able to open that. And then Chicory Meadows, the tennis courts will be replaced this summer. So we got new tennis courts. Yeah, all right. Yeah, so that's happening. And then also we have the new parks in McKee Farms Park as well. And actually we're going to put in some more pickleball courts too. I know that's not District 2, but that's coming as well. Oh, and the Tower Hill Shelter. Yes, we're updating the Tower Hill Shelter, pretty significant update. So that is also on the way.
And some infrastructure related projects coming up. So McKee Road, we're going to have to update the water main along the road between Fish Hatchery and Seminole. And so we're hoping to get a grant to be able to upgrade the sidewalk on the south side from a sidewalk to a 10-foot multi-use path. So that'll connect to the path on the west of Seminole then, along McKee Road. So Yarmouth Greenway stabilization. Anybody ever come out to one of the spring waterway cleanup events out at Yarmouth Greenway? So just like across McKee Road from Walgreens area there, the Yarmouth Greenway extends up and then along like the Capital City Path and through the woods. So that stream bank is in need of repair, and so that's going to be done, soon next year. Street resurfacings of interest. So we're doing Longford Terrace, which is up, in the Leopold area on the west side of the golf course there. So I think a lot of the concrete work is already done, and so they're working on the asphalt now to get that resurfacing done. And the Traceway Drive and Leopold bike and ped infrastructure. So that's another project that'll be coming up, I guess, 27, 28. One thing that's not listed here is something else that'll be done this summer. Some of the Fish Hatchery Road near Sherrill Drive and near Lacey, the turn lanes there are kind of in bad shape, so those will be redone this summer as well.
I just had a couple things pop into my head that's not on the presentation, but wanted to bring it up. In regards to the library, the Friends of the Fitchburg Library is having a sale. I believe it started today, but it's going to be tomorrow and also Saturday, so go check that out. They do a great job fundraising for the library. Also, a special note that you guys can pass along. We actually have to pay other libraries if people in Fitchburg go check out books at other libraries. So we have a problem where a lot of people go to Verona, enjoy the library, check out books there. And then we've had so much of that happening, and particularly in Verona and Middleton, that we're actually having to pay those other libraries. So if you're a Fitchburg Library supporter, or a library supporter in general, try to rent from Fitchburg Library if you can and spread the word. One of the things that we're doing is we're going to do an update to the children's library, make it a little bit more welcoming and hopefully a place that families want to come and bring their children. So that's one of the things that we're going to do to help that. The library also has a survey out right now to kind of find out a little bit more about what is important about the library. So I highly recommend you check that out since you all are engaged citizens. And then, oh yes, Concerts at McKee has started. So there'll be another one coming up soon, so check that out. And out there's a magnet that you can put on the fridge with some of those summer events like concerts. And then the Fitchburg Farmers Market is also open. So that's Thursdays from 3 to 6 p.m. at the Agora Pavilion right on Sherrill Drive. Oh, yeah. Do you know what the date that is?
I bet the chief does.
You'll talk about the community night out? Yeah, okay, great. And then I'll let you turn this back.
Okay. So additional changes coming up. So we've got Bus Rapid Transit now in Madison. The east-west route is open. And the north-south route, which will come down Fish Hatchery Road, just south of McKee Road, It'll turn into Brendan and then up Triverton Pike and then head back up. So it's a little further south than where the B currently ends at Cahill, Maine there. So actually, if you go to the Madison Metro site, there's design plans there. I think they're calling them the 30% design plans. And there's a survey you can fill out. So it's you could, if busing is your thing, you could fill out a survey on the entire route, or you could just do the section in Fitchburg. But they have every intersection, whether they're going to add a new stoplight or take away a left turn or whatever the case might be. But they're taking feedback. So go ahead and look that up. And then right next door is the old Bowman Plaza. That's going to get redeveloped, and it's actually going to wind up being Fitchburg's tallest building. It'll be 7 stories tall, 5 stories of housing above 2 stories of structured parking, and then they're sharing this parking lot. The City on a Hill Church is gracious enough to share this area, so there will be surface parking here that will service both properties. And that is, now it says 2026, but I suspect that's maybe a start date and it'll take a while to finish.
And then one last note about our Healthy Neighborhoods Initiative. Many of you have probably already heard of this, but we in the city of Fitchburg have 4 focus neighborhoods that are somewhat under-resourced compared to other parts of the city. So we make sure that we do some special investment in those neighborhoods. This area of town is actually one of the Healthy Neighborhoods Initiative, and that's why we're doing such a beautiful park with space that we can have programming. But we also have neighborhood navigators through the county. They help make sure that people have good resources. And it's a really interesting, I think it's really unique amongst different communities. And one of the things that we're able to do, we also do a grant program. So we support organizations like Badger Prairie Needs Network, their food bank, Big Brothers Big Sisters, the Alda Leopold, I think, Parents Network, just people that are doing really good work. And there's a ton of Fitchburg neighbors that use the food banks, and we want to make sure that we're a small part of making sure that we're a part of that help for our community. And I'm going to turn it back to the mayor, I think, right? Oh, Chief Morales. Oh, yes. Our police chief, Alfonso Morales, please.
Hello. Thank you all for coming. This is a pretty big group. We've tried to do this several times throughout the past years, and it's nice to see a good turnout of people from the community. I guess, can everybody see me? No, you're too short. Come on. I'm just going to discuss the building in this slide. I think there's questions after. If you want a couple of updates on some crime numbers or some activity numbers on law enforcement, I can give those after. What I will tell you, the future police facility is going to be across the street from the library. It's going to be approximately 64,000 square feet. What's unique about this building, we currently are on budget, so keep your fingers crossed. We're looking hopefully to see groundbreaking soon. What's unique about this building is when you think square footage, the square footage is not just an office space. A police station, if it's built correctly, can last a very long time. The only things that you have to worry about in the future is if the city grows and law enforcement grows, will they all be able to fit there? But at the end, what you have in a police facility is a temporary holding facility, an area where if you have to make an arrest, process somebody before they go over to county, you can do that, and it has to go under the rules. It has to be built and inspected by the State Department of Corrections that oversees all temporary holding facilities. There's standards that you have to have there. There's also an area that you have to load and unload in a person who's taken into custody. It's called a sally port. That has to be safe. You have to be able to safely take a person in and out of a squad without any risk to that person or any risk to the officer or the members that are bringing that person in. So those have to fall within one. Just to let you know, the prior, the police station that we're in now, That facility does not have a sally port. So when we take a person that's taken out of custody, it's in a general parking area. Just think of the weather, inclement weather. Think if you're taking someone into custody that may have maybe have some aggressive parts in nature. If something happens, the injury that can fall upon that person or the officer, and it's not safe. So you have to have that area, the sally port. You have to have an area where we have our civilian staff, our records specialists that take on open records requests. You have to have a command staff area. There's accountability in law enforcement, like in many places, and there's different rank structures where we operate very similar to the military. And there's areas where different ranks have to discuss different things, such as internal investigations or internal complaints on members. You have to be able to do that in an area that's you can keep confidential where the other members don't hear you. So you kind of have to separate yourself from the working staff. So there's the working staff, our frontline officers that you see every day. You have supervision that oversees that. You have middle management and management that are in a different area. You also have to have conference rooms where we meet and discuss different operations. As you all watch the news, you see events that occur where there could be a large gatherings, whether it's for a particular event or whether it's through a protest. Those things are discussed throughout the county. And sometimes you have to get on conference calls with different leadership in the law enforcement community. You need an area for that. And then you have your investigations. Investigations have to have their area where they can conduct their investigations. And if they have long-term investigations that are being that they're operating on, you need to have an area for them to do their work. Evidence is extremely important. In our job, we do investigations or conduct investigations. Evidence has to be treated in a manner that you're not going to lose that evidence in court. The way you process it, the way you handle it, there's a specific area within the building that you have to do that. You all know, and the chief indicated, there's different chemicals and things that they deal with. We as well. We come across drugs every day. And some of the drugs that are out there currently, then you go back 20 years that weren't even around in our neighborhoods, can also impact an officer. So to do it safely, we have to do it in well-ventilated areas. And if any of you have been in City Hall, if you happen to smell a green plant-like material on the first floor, you know what type of activity the police were in the night before. You can smell it. And that's something to say about the ventilation. Because when we look at costs, even in a home, your HVAC is expensive. And now you're talking about a building that brings in chemicals or substances that we have to package safely and put them in an area that's safe, to include bloodborne pathogens or bloodborne materials like blood or soiled items that have to be handled safely, properly, and free of contamination. So I mentioned some of those places, but that building, if it's done correctly, it will be done well. We've been doing a lot of planning on this station. Had a few minor setbacks, but I'm very happy where we're going. Mary, you've been very supportive at helping us move this along. I'm just hoping we can get this station completed. It'll be very helpful and motivating for our staff, and I'm looking forward to it. Any questions? Oh, absolutely. I'll wait for the latter questions, but there will be flyers being sent out. I'm not going to send this one. I know everybody knows where it's going to be at, McKee Farms Park. I don't have the location on this, but it's August 13th from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Each year, been here 3.5 years, our community night out has grown. And what's really, really neat about this is the involvement from the community. There's several different vendors that donate their time and money to not only promote, but to bring out food, to bring out beverages, all for the community, for you all. So make sure you show up, make sure you thank those vendors. They work here in Fitchburg, and many of them live here in Fitchburg, which maybe I'm looking at some of you that are participating in it, and I can't thank you all enough. Hoping to see you there. It's a great time. I'm hoping that we can go 3 years in a row with a bigger group to really show the support of the community here at Fitchburg. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm Mike Zimmerman. I'm the Economic Development Director for the city and probably the old-timer here as far as the lineup tonight. I've been with the city going on 30 years come September. Live at Hatchery Hill, which I like to, everybody always asks me where downtown Fitchburg is, and I said, well, I live there, and they're like, well, where the hell is it? And I said, it's Hatchery Hill. I shouldn't say that, I'm in a church. They kind of laugh about that, but that's part of the evolution of us as a city from a township to a city celebrating our 42nd year this year. So glad to be here. I've got business cards out front if you ever have any questions on development activities, and help yourself to a free Fitchburg pen, compliments of room tax dollars, not property tax dollars there. So I've got some out on the table for you. But I'm up on the development update and especially focused on just District 2. I'd be happy to take any questions in the Q&A portion on other projects around the city. But the North Fish Hatchery Road corridor is the older section of Fitchburg that really developed when we were still a town. And so part of our goal in visioning here, we worked with Vanderwall and Associates on the North Fish Hatchery Road vision to transform this corridor from the township, where you've got the fast food restaurant in the middle of the parking lot, a lower level density development, and transform it into the city of Fitchburg of today. So with that, a couple years ago, we did a $28.5 million generational reinvestment and reconstruction of North Fish Hatchery Road. And typically, Fitchburg doesn't kind of do upfront TIF, where if we reconstruct it, we hope they come. In this situation, we did it because the road needed it and was in desperate need of repair. So we invested $28.5 with the county, with the city of Madison, mostly on our dime, and through the TID district, TID number 10. And we're pleased to report that the private sector has responded. We've already got $100 million in private sector investment in the corridor, with more on the way, and I'll be highlighting some of that as we go along here. So very good news. The TID is cash flowing, and we're excited about the projects and the transformation that's happening on North Fish Hatchery Road. And here you can see the, and the red dots work, and this is the TID district for TID number 10. So you can see the parcels that are included there. We started out with a small TID here, then we expanded it to the light blue, and then once the parcels from the town of Madison came to the city of Fitchburg in October of 2022, then we amended it again to bring in some of those parcels in to fill in this area. But this is the geographic area that we're focused on. And here are some of those projects that total that $100 million in investment in the Fish Hatchery Road corridor. We've got, whoops, oh, no, I'm getting ahead of myself there. There, okay. Back there? Oh, okay, thank you for the orientation, appreciate it. Okay, we've got the Terrace Point apartments up there in the upper right. We've got the Highline Senior apartments here in the lower left. The Park Bank, which really makes a nice statement as you drive into Fitchburg. You might all remember, people that have been here for a while, the Bridgman's Ice Cream Parlor. That was the former Park Bank. So we've really transformed that corner. And then we've got Ochala Springs, which is the project just east of the UW Credit Union building that's right at Fish Hatchery Road and Ochala. So some really good projects happening. We've also had facelifts of Associated Bank, the Popeyes, and the Dairy Queen did some upgrades and everything through the years that aren't counted into these totals. But we're seeing reinvestment to renewed interest in this corridor. Interesting statistic or data, at Greenway Cross and Fish Hatchery Road, traffic counts are 46,000 cars a day traverse through that intersection through the Beltline. That is comparable to East Washington at Bree-Stevens, that intersection there. And even when I tell that to developers and people in the real estate community, they're like, really, Mike? Send me those traffic counts. I want to see that data. But I think it shows you the opportunity and the economic opportunity within this corridor. Oh, back there again. Okay, then we've got another building off of Index Road. You may have not seen it if you haven't ventured back there, just north of Ochala Springs. And then the project that Alder Bill Jetzer mentioned, And Ned Hoyt is here, who's leading this for the redevelopment of Bowman Plaza. He's joined us in the back. This is going to be the 7-story building with 5 over 2. It will also include 9,500 square feet of commercial space, which is kind of the approximate footprint of Bowman Plaza on one level. So there will be commercial space right up to Fish Hatchery Road, 2 floors of structured and underground parking. And the plan is to fire department and police department are going to use it for training yet this fall in the existing building. Then Ned and his team will demolish the building in spring of 2026, or as early as we can get there in 2026. Occupancy in the first phase of residential will be January 1st of 2028. The second phase of occupancy, April 1st of 2028. And then hopefully we also land a commercial or multiple commercial tenants that occupy that 9,500 square feet. So this is really exciting because we've had the other buildings that you've already seen, but this will bookmark the west side of Fish Hatchery Road and kind of the future development that we would hope to have in the corridor, especially not only with those traffic counts, but with bus rapid transit there. The other preview I'll give you, just because it was a meeting on Tuesday at City Hall, is City on a Hill Church will be expanding with this gathering space in the front that'll bump out to Fish Hatchery Road to create a greater presence on Fish Hatchery Road. And they have longer term plans to then add another big expansion in the future as their congregation continues to grow to the north. And they're really doing a lot of good work in the community here, not only with their congregation, they've added a Latin and his Spanish mass, but they also have the mobile women's health clinic that stops by here and serves residents in the neighborhood. And if you're ever looking for good tacos and everything, Tacos Rios does a really good business here in the parking lot. So some good collaborations, and we're happy to have them as neighbors in the community here. Here you can see building permit construction activity from 2012 to 2024. Usually if we have a spike year with the big numbers there, that means that we've either had a Promega project or a Sub-Zero project that's kind of driven that spike, and we're fortunate to have both of those. We are their home of their global headquarters. And as Mayor Julia mentioned, with the AAA bond rating from Moody's, we got Moody's to come to town to tour to get us to that AAA. And in the bond rating statement, they referenced specifically that we had Promega and Sub-Zero and their global headquarters. So that really resonated with the rating agency and everything. So we're proud to have them. And they're not only good corporate citizens, but good community citizens. They do a lot of quiet, really good things for our community. Here we've got the housing permit information from 2009 to 2024. And I think this tells a story right here. If you focus on the years after the last kind of housing bust and recession there, if you look at those single family permit numbers, look at in Fitchburg from 2009 until we get to 2018. Fitchburg, with our community and the size that we have in our location, we should be averaging at least 100+ single-family permits a year. But we were stuck for 10 years where we didn't have inventory and supply. And it wasn't that there wasn't market demand there. Part of it was we didn't have new neighborhoods and new subdivisions entitled to have that inventory available as the economy recovered and the housing market recovered. Compounding that challenge is that Dane County is the fastest growing county in the state of Wisconsin with population growth. So when you hear the elected officials and city staff focused on housing and housing initiatives and programs, that's why we're focused so heavily on that, because not only do we need inventory and supply, but then that magnitudes or magnifies the whole affordability issue and the challenges that and the economic pressures that families and residents are facing to find affordable housing. So that's why we are spending as much time on that. And one of the best quotes, it's Professor Kurt Paulson from the UW. He was at a session that we went to at the Greater Madison Chamber. And we're all fortunate with and blessed with the health of our economy here, with the science and technology jobs, the growth of median incomes and everything. But housing is where the jobs go to sleep at night. And that quote just really resonated with me, because he said if we don't provide the inventory and the necessary housing and the spectrum of housing that's needed for our workforce, we literally will choke off that good economy that we have. So that's why it's a bigger story and a bigger message of why we're all in this together, and we need to figure out how do we continue to add inventory and address the housing cost challenges with that. Here you can see that graphically as far as those permits with the different units. And when we say multifamily, that doesn't just mean rental. We can add ownership units with townhome units. The one that's really stuck right now, after the last recession, the feds, of course, always overcorrect then. And so the financing and underwriting to get underwriting for a condominium, apartment style, like across from City Hall, the Glenwood Heights condominiums there, you have to have kind of 50% pre-sold, and it gets into all the Fannie Freddie kind of financing issues there. So we haven't seen new product of that type come forward. With the townhome units and the duplex, we can do zero lot line, which allows them to be underwritten kind of fee simple mortgage there. So we're getting that product, but we could really use that garden style apartment condominium product as well. So hopefully we figure out some strategies and solutions for that. And then our housing plan, the first one we ever did for the city was in 2019. A lot of good goals, activities, and objectives in there that we've accomplished a lot through that housing plan. And we created a housing advisory committee. As Mayor Julia mentioned, we capitalized a housing and affordable housing fund with $10 million. And what's really cool about that is by keeping it open 1 year with the TID district, it's not only Fitchburg participating in that, it's our partners from our other taxing entities. So the county, Madison College, and the school district and everything. So it's a collaborative effort to provide those resources to dedicate to housing. The elected officials were also supportive. Housing has become such a local priority that Joyce and I, the two-person team of Community Economic Development, they were fortunate to add a team member for us. So we have a new Housing Initiatives and Program Specialist, Lorene Gage. She's coming up on her 1-year anniversary, and that's really helped us add some capacity to really focus and move forward some of these housing initiatives with the dollars that we have. Two that we've launched already. Efficiency Navigator, we're working with Sustained Ain, and that's focused on those older multifamily properties of 20 units or less. And we're doing energy efficiency upgrades, HVAC mechanicals, insulation, windows, and things like that to improve that older multifamily housing stock. We also have launched now deferred loan with the Light Tech program through WIDA. So the council just approved on Tuesday night $330,000 for 24 workforce housing units, 3-bedroom townhomes over there off of Haight Farm Road and Sain Road in that area. So we're adding more workforce and housing units there. Stay tuned for more programs to come forward. One would be kind of land banking and land acquisition, possibly working with Habitat for Humanity and the Community Land Trust to leverage our dollars with their dollars. We're trying to extend our impact and our reach with those. And then we're talking with Gorman and Company about a possible home ownership program. And as part of that, there would be a citywide down payment assistance program of about $25,000 for prospective home buyers at certain median income levels. That program, again, parameters to be created and defined yet as part of that. And then just a couple of other things I'll just mention in the corridor here. We've got what were the Fairways and the Pines. You might have seen new signs out there. They were acquired by Trinity Development and have been rebranded as Renew at the Greens and Renew High Ridge. The good news about that is they are investing $20 million in those properties. So there's going to be reinvestment and dollars going into those properties. Sun Valley Apartments on the east side of Fish Hatchery Road was acquired by Monarch Development. We haven't heard too much from them. All we know for sure is that they're going to be on some of the green space that they have there, doing a new building that will be a leasing office and also a fitness center that then will make 2 units that currently occupy those uses, put them back in the inventory for housing units. At Hatchery Hill, where I live, the buildings where I live in the 3-story building. Tapatio's just recently expanded. If you haven't been in there, go check out the place. It's wonderful. The new ownership is terrific. The previous ownership, we can have an offline conversation about. I was not impressed with them. The new group has spent more on capital expenditures in the last 6 months than the previous group did. for the last 3 to 5 years. So that's a really good thing. It's a local ownership group where the other one was out of state. The other good news is that the Wyndham Hotel has been acquired by local ownership, and we just met with them last week. They are investing significant dollars. All the mattresses have been replaced. TVs are getting upgraded from 43-inch to 50-inch. They're going to be painting the exterior of the building, all new landscaping. The common areas carpet has been replaced, and once we get into the winter season, then they'll focus on the interior rooms with carpet paint. So again, really good reinvestment in that corridor. Hatchery Hill is 28 years old, believe it or not, and it's just like a house there where, you know, there's needs on deferred maintenance and reinvestment and everything. And one that I'm focused on, I'm waiting for him to come to town, is the VP of Real Estate for Round East Kroger, because the Pick and Save store needs a little attention there. They've been doing some things on the outside and have been redoing some things on the inside, but it needs a little more reinvestment and attention there. So stay tuned on that one. And then lastly, I will mention Benvenuto's, the former Benvenuto's. We have an individual, local Fitchburg resident here, that is looking to acquire that property and transform that into the Fairway Lounge, which will be a beverage lounge, hopefully with some food. We're not sure exactly what's that extent. There will actually be food trucks servicing part of it, but then also golf simulators. So kind of a recreation entertainment use, which we think would be a really good fit for that location and kind of a repositioning of that building. So we're excited to see those plans come forward. I think they're going to be on the Plan Commission in July for that project. And I think that covers everything, and the mayor told me I only had 10 minutes, so I got to stay on my time limit here. What's that? Oh.
You can go back to the previous one. Okay,
There.
Okay, so it's 7:30. So the other thing before we start the second hour with questions from you guys is if you don't receive information from the city, there is a postcard on the table in the front where there is a QR code. You can scan that and receive, register to receive information from the city. So I recommend that. Also, I send a newsletter every 3 months. I don't know, many of you are in my list, so I try to do that when my time allows me to do that. But yes, this is another way that I communicate. And the city is currently looking for. We are testing an e-newsletter that we are going to send to the entire city. So this is what is important, that you register here your email, so you will be part of receiving that newsletter. I don't know when, but we are doing the testing right now. Okay, so we are moving to the second hour, and this is when you have the opportunity to ask questions, and tell me what do you think, what are your concerns. If Gabriela and Bill, you can come here too. If you have any additional question about the city in general. We can ask Mike, the two chiefs are here, so, okay. So, who's first? Bill, and then you, Diana. Oh, you need a microphone. I think so.
Thank you.
I'll run it down to him.
Somebody mentioned a very healthy Spanish-speaking Hispanic population. And as everybody here knows, there's a major issue in our country about immigrants and how those are handled. I haven't heard about any ICE raids in Fitchburg, but I always wonder where Fitchburg is on such questions as, are we a sanctuary city? Should we be? Are there concerns about the safety or the concerns of immigrants who are living here? Just fill me in. There must have been some discussions in the city about this issue and by the police. So I'd like to get a briefing on where we are with that.
Okay, I want to tell you that where I am part of the Latino Consortium for Action in the county. It's an organization that we advocate for Latinos' rights in the community. And in my last meeting, we discussed ICE. We know that ICE is moving north. They are in Chicago, and we know that they are going to be in this area. We don't know when, but they're coming. So the city of Fitchburg, we have 16% of our population are Latinos. Yes, it's something that is concerning. I have talked to the chief. I don't know, chief, you want to say something, but we are monitoring the situation. One of the things that I want to say, if they are coming and looking for, person that they are criminal, rapists, welcome and take them. But if they are coming to take innocent people, I want to have a big issue. I don't think that I want to allow my police department to collaborate with ICE if they are coming to take innocent people, But we are not a sanctuary city at all. I don't think that Madison is either. You need to have a resolution in order to be one of those. But yes, it's concerning the situation. We are monitoring the situation, Bill, but we don't know, what is going to happen. Chief, do you want to add anything else?
No, I think you said it all, unless there's a specific question.
Okay. Okay. Diana.
I have two questions. The first one is, can we get an update on the post office?
Oh, Mike.
Can we get an update on a post office in Fitchburg?
Sure. Interesting that you asked that question. We have a call tomorrow at 12:30 with the Madison Postmaster, and that's one of the topics there. So good timing on the question.
I'm a plant.
Yes. It's been a really frustrating experience when we lost our postal contract station at Hatchery Hill. It was devastating because we were told years ago that we were not going to get a full-fledged post office. They were no longer operating under that business model, but they had assured us that they would continue to keep a CPU, a contract postal unit station is what it stands for, in Fitchburg. When it closed, we were working with them to, with possibly Thad at Fitchburg Family Pharmacy or Deb at Decor within the Hatchery Hill Atrium. And then some of the people we were working with at USPS retired, and we lost the continuity. And then Diana, who we're meeting with on Friday, she's been helpful through the years. She had been relocated to Florida. She's back now. So we're hoping that we can get things jump-started. And we do have, with that, you have to have it located, co-located with a retail business. But we have interested parties that would like to co-locate that with them. So stay tuned. We continue. We're not giving up. I told them, I said, we're not giving up. There needs to be one here. We're not going away until we get one somewhere within this corridor. One thing I will say, there is a CPU over at the Hy-Vee at the front counter there, but it doesn't have the extent of services that our Hatchery Hill one did. And that Hatchery Hill one did really good volume and numbers there, and the postal people have said that to us. So we'll keep at it until we get one.
Thank you. My second question is, can we get the med drop box brought back?
Oh, this is for the chief.
Hello, I apologize, but we don't have the capacity or the staffing. In fact, with the staffing levels that we are, where the city's at, and the levels of calls for service that we're working on and staffing, we just had a reorganization plan that we presented to the council last week. We just don't have that capacity to have that right now. We do have, if you go on our website, I don't have those addresses with me, but we do have the areas where you can have the drops. I'm trying to think what else I can add on that piece. That was.
What about,
it's on our website.
Will you be participating in advertising the drug take-back days then?
Yeah, we'll advertise those. Yeah, we advertise those as well. When the DA contacts us and the state DCI on the dates that come out, and we would advertise those with them as well. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Yes.
This seems a little bit trivial, but on the Capital City Trail, just west of the underpass under Longford, there's there have been signs there for a couple of years saying that there's going to be some kind of bike maintenance pad or some kind of something built there, and Yeah, I know. And I talked to Scott Endel briefly a couple months ago, and he said, well, they're talking about developing that, but I don't know who's talking about it and who's in charge and what's going on. So that was my question.
Maybe Bill knows. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's the Kyle Stiegert Memorial Greenway.
Oh, yeah.
So, yes, Kyle Stiegert was a big biker, and his wife lives right there. He unfortunately passed away. For part of his legacy, his family is trying to establish that greenway. So, Bike Fitchburg is working with the City Parks Department to get that area set up. There's a plan. If you go to the city's website, you can look at all of the agenda packets going back, at least to like 2018 or something. But if you search for the words Kyle Stiegert, you can search the meeting minutes for the parks, and you'll be able to pull up drawings and see what the future vision is for that.
What's the future timeline?
Yeah, off the top of my head, I don't know, but I think it's ideally it would be happening like this year, next year, and the following year.
So we are the other thing is our parks director retired in June. So we are going to be hiring for a new parks director. So the deputy city administrator is taking over that role now. So some of the parks projects has been delayed, but we are working with the group behind.
Who's the point person at the city for that?
Right now is Adam
Sayer.
Is the deputy city administrator. He's in charge for now from the Parks Department. Yes. Yes? Oh, Ari, 1 second.
Ari had a question here.
I have two questions, but I can start with my first. So I came here today hoping that this room would reflect the full diversity of our district. And I'm looking around, and our audience does appear to be mostly white residents. And I'm guessing that many black residents don't feel safe or welcome in city-hosted sessions like this. I know that we also have continued to talk about this $40 million police facility, something that many black residents have spoken clearly against. It's painful to see this plan moving forward when their voices aren't meaningfully included in conversations like this one today. I know that there's lots of research out there that says that when cities invest in more policing, the result isn't stronger communities. It's families being torn apart, more people locked up, and more generational harm. So here's my question. How will you center the voices of people who aren't in this room and who have many reasons to mistrust this process?
Well, we are very intentional in our outreach, Ari. We have interpreters here that we hire in case that we have a Spanish-speaking person. So we are intentional. We are investing. I want to say what I know about the Latino community in this area. Because of what is happening with ICE, they are not going to show up to any activity by the city. And it's true, okay? And they are not showing to a sport activity. They are not going to church, They are very quiet because they are afraid, okay? So that one could be one of the issues that they are not here today. But we are very intentional. We do our outreach. I don't know, you want to add something?
Well, representation of the city is always a concern. I think there's always an opportunity to do better. And I think there are lots of residents that aren't getting the messages. And it's something that we talk about a lot, is how to make sure that more people are involved in the process. I don't think it's a thing I think it's something that's always going to be a process, but we know we can do better. We're trying to do better at communicating. With the failed referendum, we had planned to hire a communications director that could focus more on doing more intentional outreach. Right now it's being distributed across the city through departments that are already overworked, plus alders that often have full-time jobs. So yes, we're not perfect in terms of outreach, and we could do better. The police process, I know that there was some controversy around it. We did have we had public testimony. We delayed the process so that there could be more testimony, and tried to get as many people involved in that process based on I think we had 3+ hours of testimony at that night, maybe more. Anyway, I think there was an awareness, so people had a chance to be heard. And in terms of the police facility, the facility is new. The number of police officers has actually not grown because of the staffing concerns. That is to say that it would have grown had the referendum passed. But yeah, it is a new facility, but it's not an increase in the police officers at this time. So we can talk about it more as well if you want.
The second question is that I've heard the city talk tonight about trying to increase affordable housing, and that's very important. But I haven't heard anything about holding landlords accountable. I've been on a voluntary basis supporting renters here in this district, some of whom are seeing their rents increase from $1,500 per month to $1,800 a month in this year, where basic repairs aren't being made and landlords communicate slowly, if at all. That's not affordable in any real sense. And I recently attended a panel with LGBTQIA2S+ people impacted by incarceration who named housing as one of the biggest barriers to reentry. They're facing both discrimination and impossible rents. So my question is this: what is the city doing to protect renters now and to ensure that landlords are held accountable when they neglect or exploit their tenants? Thank you.
I can start, but yeah, it's a really great question. In terms of a lot of other states have a tool, rent control. It's something that's precluded by Wisconsin statute. We're actually not allowed to have rent control at all in the state of Wisconsin. So that's not a tool we have at our disposal. I know that we certainly as alders get inquiries about neglect in buildings. We typically work with the building inspecting department to try to work through that process about health and safety. We definitely have this is not quite related to that what you're saying, but the energy efficiency navigator program that we talked about, that's for affordable housing. That's usually smaller landlords that are owning buildings that are 20 units or less, and we're helping them make energy upgrades that are often safety in nature, but also energy upgrades and we require those landlords to keep their rents down after that, and then those cost savings associated with energy efficiency is also typically passed on to the residents through their utility bills. But yeah, we were just at a housing session last night through the Regional Housing Strategy Coalition, and they mentioned that there is something called a rent retaliation ordinance that exists that I was going to investigate, something I literally just learned about. My understanding is that that's not always legally backed up, but it can be a statement that we care about renters and their rights in the community. But yeah, it doesn't have as much legal weight. So unfortunately, I think we're limited in what we can do legally. But we certainly care about renters. If people have concerns, we can help to the extent that we can. We can't always do everything. We wish we could do more sometimes, but we will do the best we can to connect with resources or to try to go through city channels if it's feasible. Oh, and Scott, please.
So if any of them are safety related?
Yes.
Obviously, I speak for the fire department. I speak for the fire department. If any of them are safety related, especially fire safety, access, exiting, things like that, we're always available to come look. I don't represent the building department, but I know normally that is a similar practice for the building department if there's any safety concerns. General maintenance and cosmetic appearance and stuff, that's outside of us. But obviously for safety reasons, we're more than welcome to help out.
Would mold be a safety concern? I would think it would be.
Building inspection could probably have a conversation about that. Yeah, and then yeah, but something that they should definitely reach out and ask about. And I think actually you had. Did you have?
Oh yeah, Jenny had one.
She had a question right behind you.
Oh, I was just going to say that we are all excited to see that the Chicory Meadow tennis courts were on the plan. Thank you so much for that. But I was wondering, with the gap in the parks department with the person who's no longer, with the retired person, will that hold up the project at all? Or what is your timeline for that project?
No, I think they are working on the RFP for the vendors, to select a vendor. And then after that, they had to have the approval for, the pre-approval process, and then, hire the vendor that we select, and then But the idea is to start working this summer.
So you think it will be this summer?
Yes.
Thank you very much for that.
But yeah, yeah.
And just to say something about what she was commenting on in inclusion for Fitchburg, I think that your choice of having this meeting here at a neutral location definitely can help with inclusion.
Yeah,
So
this is
some
what we
people may
select.
feel
Yeah,
more comfortable than coming into City Hall. So
No,
thank you
yes.
for that.
No, yes, that one was the intention. Yes. Any other question? Oh, over there, Don.
Thank you for the outreach and having these opportunities, and I agree with the comment made. There's plenty of opportunities you can have to reach marginalized or underrepresented communities and their own turf, which will definitely be of benefit when you do that. A couple comments I had. I think Mike made the comment about a lot of infrastructure aging, and we got a lot of wonderful things going on. My concern is that our only mechanism to kind of tackle that right now seems to be the wheel tax and our property rates going up. I'm wondering if there's a strategy targeting that TIF or TID that you have for all the developers that are going on here, not necessarily all the industrial ones that are popping up, but you have a lot of housing developments going up. And that's going to put angst and pressure on that infrastructure you have. We're going to have to put signals. We're going to have to, vulnerable road users are going to need crossings or lights or, bike peds and, maybe getting some sort of incremental income from the developments now that you can put in your coffers for when we need them. The one that's coming to mind right now is McKee and the new development going on across from where Target is. You're going to get a lot of volume and traffic in there, and I'm not sure how anyone's going to be able to cross that road or bike across it, let alone once all those cars are going in there. So the other one, I want to put a plug in. I know you're going after the Dane County Safety Study Grant. I'm wondering if the traffic community or hire someone to make it more holistic than just your traffic engineering aspect. When you're going after your action plan, bring your law enforcement in, bring your first responders, and have more public outreach to say, what are the low-hanging fruit we can grab at with that when we do that? We'll highlight stuff, and I hope we just don't focus on the stuff that has the highest crash rates or let's focus on, the residential community, the small residential area where it doesn't have the high volumes, but people are walking on the road because there's no sidewalk. And the best mechanism I see with that is that traffic management process that's set up now. We just don't have it funded. It's low fixes, speed humps, speed tables, stop signs, stuff to do traffic calming in these more residential areas. We just don't have money to do those low-cost fixes. And I'm thinking between the TIDs or the TIFs and taking some of those other funds that we identify in this action plan, we can tackle these things and be ahead of the game versus have crashes and fatalities later.
I don't know the question. What it was about?
So, yeah, let me know if this, in regards to your first question about the cost of infrastructure. Yes, city costs are always a concern. We could literally have an hour-long presentation just about the finances of the city, and anyone that wants to talk about that, I'd be delighted to talk with you. Seriously, I actually really think it's interesting and would love to sit down with you, so please reach out. But in terms of infrastructure, one of the benefits, the only good thing about levy limits for the state, and I wouldn't even characterize it as good, it's just something you should know, is that debt financing is actually not subject to levy limits. So when we take out debt, we have to pay back through our debt service payment. And so if we take out more debt and our debt service payment goes up, that is outside of the levy limits. Levy limits is basically how the state caps the amount of taxes you can raise. And in a very short sense, it's the reason why we face funding challenges. The state says that we can only increase our levy limit by the percentage of net new construction in the city, which sounds like a good amount, right? Growth equals increase in the tax levy, except that it doesn't also account for inflation. So what you get is we get growth that in the past has kind of kept up with inflation. So we've been keeping up with inflation, but we actually haven't been able to keep up with growth. You can't do both at the same time. So it creates a real issue for us. And just for all of you that got new valuations, your new assessments, an increase in equalized value, so the increase in total value of the city does not actually just automatically increase the amount of taxes you can levy. Basically, it just distributes it out. You just divide it by the same amount, same slice that you have of the value of the city. So if everyone's properties go up, then it's about the same. We can dig into that too if you want at some point. But anyway, all that is to say that infrastructure is actually one of the easier things for us to finance. Developers do pay for the infrastructure when they put in a building. They put in the roads and the water lines and the street lights and the sewers. It's actually one of the things that drives increased costs of housing is the increased cost of that infrastructure development. So there's a lot of nuance there. But that infrastructure is a piece of what the developers pay for, and then they dedicate that to the city. So we have tools. One of the benefits of as the mayor mentioned, we have a AAA bond rating from Moody's. Our debt, we actually have a very low debt burden for the city compared to other communities of our size, and so we have actually incredibly low debt burden, comparatively well below what we consider a limit. And we also have a AAA bond rating from Moody's. So when we issue debt, because we actually sell debt as a bond or a note, our rates were around 2% interest. So we have our debt is really good. We save a lot of money on the debt because of our bond rating. So anyway, that's got a little bit your other question. And then in terms of the traffic management, it's a really good question. We recently passed a Vision Zero ordinance or a Vision Zero resolution where we're saying that we would like to see 0 deaths on our streets, and that means people in cars, in bikes, on walking on the street. But we certainly have some serious challenges. The neighborhood traffic process is one tool to kind of reach out and solve some issues. It is tough though because we have limited resources, so trying to decide which projects to focus on is always a hard thing, and the transportation engineer has lots of things that he looks at in terms of making those decisions about where to invest the money. But I think it's always going to be a challenge. We certainly think that those areas where there's no sidewalks are a concern. Those wide streets with no sidewalks are something that we've talked about, something that we're going to continue to explore how to handle that. But it's always going to be a challenge, but a lot is taken under consideration besides just traffic counts. So it's a mix.
One more thing I want to point out. Right now, if you go to the Greater Madison MPO website, they have an active transportation survey. It's an interactive map. You can drop a pin on any point on the map and add a comment. So, and I believe they're going to leverage that as data for the community comprehensive safety action plan. So if you go to greatermadisonmpo.org, I think it's still on the front page, the active transportation survey. So, put a pin on there and say, hey, I want a sidewalk here, or I don't feel safe crossing the road here, or thanks for upgrading the traffic light here. The signal works much better than it used to. That kind of thing.
So the others you mentioned about our tax rates, they're going up significantly. I want to show you this slide. Our tax rate, this is the city portion, in an average home, you can see has been very flat in the last couple of years. So even, in 2023, there was a huge increase because Dane County increased taxes 17%. And everyone that we live in the Madison School District this year, when we received our bill, please don't get mad at us, because the Madison School District increases will be significantly, because we approved a $600 million referendum last year, okay? But I want to show you that our portion of the city, we have been very, very intentional to keep those taxes on an average of 3 or below 3% increase every year.
And in fact, if you were to adjust those numbers for inflation, you would see that they peak right around 2016, 17, 18, something like that. And what the number from 2024 is roughly equivalent to like 2009 to 2010, like before we added the library to the city, which was represented a large jump in property taxes.
Yes, Richard.
Oh, Vaughn.
Who? Oh, she was first. Okay, I'm sorry. You're next, Richard.
Chief Morales, I was wondering if you could give us an idea of crimes and updates on what's going on in the community in that sense. Thank you.
Actually, I have to talk about a big transition. So when I talk about just the activity, crime and some incidents that are not crime but require police services, we've actually done pretty good. The last 3 years, we went through a complete transition with the department. I came on in October of 2021 and had a transition and turnover with the department of almost 50%. It's almost like the old regime decided to retire and move on to other police departments or more higher paying jobs. And I ended up spending the last 3 years hiring. So when we look at our activity was down. Our calls for service were consistent. We average about 26,000 calls for service a year with a staff of about 55. We had up to 18 vacancies at one time, so the overtime was up. And just managing the calls for service and the type of calls for service was very difficult. We have a very, very young department. Average years for the officers that you see out on the street are approximately 3 years for our second and third shift, which means it requires a lot of mentoring, a lot of coaching, and a lot of training. I want to give you our numbers in short for our 2024, our annual report, because those numbers kind of show what we're kind of still consistent with in the first 6 months of this year. Gun-related offenses I take very serious, and there's not that many. Fitchburg is relatively safe, but I follow a philosophy that if a person is firing a gun off in our community, they're probably doing other things that are driving other crime numbers in the city. So if you address the gun crime, there'll be other outlying incidents that kind of go down. So we focus, not many of our gun violence, but we're down 44% in 2024. 2023, when our staffing was kind of bad, that's where we had a pretty bad year. In 2022, it was kind of like going up. Our staffing was going down, but that's a very good number. Theft of auto is down 112% in 2024. OWI arrests, as we're out there, especially at night, our arrests went up. But that shows visibility as well, and it's keeping the community safe of car accidents. Our traffic accidents or crashes are only down 1.2% in the year, but that's still going down this year. So I'm hoping to see our traffic accidents go down as a result of our OWI arrests and our other traffic related stops. Our traffic stops and traffic citations, traffic stops were up about 98%, almost 100%, and 86% up on traffic citations. The one thing I say is, even though I'm showing those numbers that traffic stop and traffic citations are up, mind you, it was a big transition from a lot of vacancies. So when we have those numbers and we have young officers that are actually doing their jobs, it looks like we're over policing or doing all this other work. No, we're just doing our job and we're being visible. Just so you all know, without asking the question or asking you the question, our minimum staffing on any shift is 4 officers and 1 supervisor. And I've stopped and talked to residents when I ask them that. I'm like, I see you guys everywhere. There must be 25 officers out there. It's a 34 square mile area, and our visibility is out there, and that makes a big difference. That keeps our numbers down. I'm very happy to see that type of those type of events. I do also want to say when we discuss arrests, the city of Fitchburg is different. What you see on TV. I came from a big city where there's proactive police work to kind of stop gun violence in certain neighborhoods. Fitchburg is not that. So you're not going to see what you see in the TV shows where officer stops somebody and is immediately patting you down to see if you got weapons. There's no data in the city of Fitchburg that shows that there's a need for that type of policing. So I would say police services here in the city of Fitchburg are very reactive Our proactive piece comes through traffic stops. And those traffic stops, if you don't like it, you're the ones that are complaining. Our alders send us the emails. Our mayor sends us the emails. Our city administrator sends us the email, says there's traffic problems here, here, and here. I will tell everybody, as we try to kind of keep ourselves in the middle, we do traffic, but we don't fall to the constant complaints because that's part of a growing city. Those are growing pains. You have increased vehicle traffic, but you also have increased pedestrian traffic. And that's one thing that as community members here, we have to really learn how to live in an area of the city that's growing. And as years go through and we are able to make that transition, you will see a drop in some of those as well. Any other particular crime or numbers that you want to? Thank you.
Richard.
Good evening, thank you. Just a couple questions. The McKee Road bike path update, I'm assuming that's just the sidewalk on the south side. You're going to expand it?
Yes.
And you already have the right-of-way to do that? There's enough room in the right-of-way?
The engineers say that yes, we'll see.
Because it's tight in there
I know.
because that's common area to that subdivision.
Yeah, they say that they can do it. I don't know.
Okay, curious. And then the water main in 27, is that in the right-of-way on the north side of it, or is it in the road?
I don't remember. I had to check in the CIP. Do you know, Bill? Bill, no? He's in public work, and
Yeah.
Donald's also in public work.
My understanding is that the water main they're going to take out the sidewalk, do the water main upgrade, and then replace the sidewalk with a multi-use path.
Well, then they got it asked backwards.
Yeah, maybe.
Because you said you're going to do the bike path.
I think the years were flipped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My fault.
And
My memory's a little off.
No, I know. You know, when I was looking at the slide, Richard, I said something is wrong with that slide, but I couldn't change it.
Thank you, because the road's been tore up enough to put water
Yeah, I
mains
know.
back.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the bus rapid transit. I know part of Madison's was paid for, or the east-west with federal funds, and I think that's sort of sketchy at the moment.
Yes.
But I don't think the east-west rapid transit has gone over real well. I think there's some concerns with how much traffic was taken out. I had a conversation with the mayor of Madison that her road diet, although she likes to not say that, but I think it's not, I would not support, you can support more buses, but to take on Fish Hatchery and do what they did to Mineral Point in a few streets, I think that would not be for the best part of the city. Michael, thank you for Bowman Plaza. That's been a thorn. When it comes to sidewalks, whoever mentioned that, I think Bill Horns over there can have some experience. I think he led the last sidewalk update, and I think he would volunteer to do that again. I think, Bill, you would do that. And then just a couple comments. I follow LinkedIn for a couple things, and I see recently there was a posting that the city put 27 interns on, with sort of a little plug for the HR person that said they did all this work and 20. Somebody needs to update the LinkedIn, because I thought
those are students that I believe came for a program. So they were like one day kind of come and learn about the city.
it looks like on the site that we hired 27 interns in the city for the summertime.
No, absolutely not. We wish. That's not. I think we have one planning intern.
Yeah, we have like
and one, is that it?
I thought, okay.
There is maybe one or two in the engineer department. That's it. No. They always come every summer, but yeah.
And then the wheel tax.
Yes. What do you want to know?
We didn't get the referendum passed.
Yes.
Okay, it didn't pass. And it almost looks to me like you backdoored $1 million into the budget by slapping a $40 fee on all the cars. I'm trying to do the math for $40 into $1 million to really see if there's that many vehicles in Fitchburg. But I mean, I know what I got it, what the council did, but I think the citizens spoke on the taxing side of it, and yet turned around and just put $1 million back on the budget. And I have a hard time with that process. And then, Mayor, I understand that Fitchburg, as you said, is 1/3 of your tax bill. But all of us got revals recently from the city assessor. That flows through to the school district, it flows through to MATC, it flows through to the county. It's so, the little bit of the 3.3% that we're all gonna get, our tax bills with, that's, that reval and the average home in Fitchburg, it comes back to affect us in a lot of other areas. But it's most concerning because I look at the hiring statistics for housing in the county because we bring people in to hire people, and housing is outrageous. So Michael, your comment about where people go to sleep at night, it's getting so pricey, it's getting hard for us, to bring people in to fill the jobs that we still have open. So when you raise the taxes, you hurt, a lot of the apartment dwellers maybe. You hurt some of the quote starter homes, and I'm sure glad I'm not buying a starter home in what they consider starter homes at the moment. But it's just that one thing, and then
can we address a couple of those?
And then one more, and
okay.
Two of you have heard this already,
okay.
But I'm going to say it in an open session.
Okay.
The council needs to go back to meeting in public. It's a public meeting. Quit Zooming it in. And I've heard both of your little stories back to me. I was stunned the other night at Ehlers that, Bill, you were there, but it's a public meeting. COVID was COVID. It's done. Go back to having meetings and face the people and be able to turn and look at your fellow alder. Bill sat on my right for a lot of years and bruised my ribs when he didn't agree with me. And, but you need to do that. You need to go back.
Richard, most of the time, the majority of the council is in the chamber. But we have council members that they travel for work. We are all full-time work. We all have full-time job. And sometimes we are sick. I have been in meeting where I have been from home. We have council members that they have young kids. Sometimes they cannot find daycare because some of them are single parents. So I think we had to provide the flexibility to them. And what we have noticed being hybrid, because the world is hybrid now, is there are more participation of residents in our meeting because they can connect, they can participate from home. This is what we have seen lately. I understand, yes, I would like to have my council member in the room because you create that team, the discussion is different, but I also have to respect that because I know some of the life experiences that some of my council members are going through, and then having that option, at least they can participate in meeting, and instead of no participating at all. So the wheel tax, okay.
I respectfully disagree.
Yeah, okay.
I spent 12 years on the council, and life is life. And if you sign up to do what you do and get elected, then you need to show up.
Richard, can you respond to your other questions, please?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to start with the wheel tax, and maybe Gabriela or Bill can jump in that. So when the referendum failed, I think I was very open, and the council was, and we decided that one is, the need didn't disappear, So, and at that moment, if you look at my press release after the referendum, I say, we are going to continue looking for other sources of revenue because the needs are still there. And as a mayor, I know that I can control 1/3 of the tax bill. This is my job and the council. I cannot control the county, I control the school, I cannot control Madison College. You can come to me and blame me and, about the 1/3, the one that I have control. And then, yes, but we have some needs that decided that we need to cover soon before the 2025 budget. And one of those was we need $500,000 to operate the police facility, the building.
Annually.
Huh? Annually.
Annually.
Annually. So, and then we have also EMS, with the district, with Verona. We are changing the agreement with them because the city of Verona came to us and said, you know what, Fitchburg, we are not going to subsidize you anymore, okay? We need to change the agreement. So we are changing the agreement. Fitchburg is going to contribute 2/3 of that district budget. This is what is our numbers of calls. But also we are going to have more power in that district. We are changing the composition of the members and other things. That one is going to be another $300,000, okay? And then we need to do the expansion because I had a meeting with some of the biggest employers here in the city of Fitchburg and they say, you need to do something with your buses, the routes, because they are not coming to our areas. We are having problems, people coming to Fitchburg. We have 40% of the people here in Fitchburg, they don't drive. So the council was very intentional and say, we need also to invest in the expansion of the route 65 and 75, okay? So that one were the priority. And I said, okay, we need to find the money for these three that we need to, they're coming soon. And this is why the council, we have a big discussion on January, and the council gave me the okay to move forward with the resolution. So this is why we move forward the vehicle registration fee. Yes, it's not, I have 2 cars. I don't want, no one wants to pay more. But if we didn't do that, we had to make other council, when they put together the 2026 budget in September, they will have to make more difficult decisions, like lay off people or cut services. This is what the others thing on the table. Because the no referendum had a lot of consequences. And there's going to be another one is coming, but we are going to tell you soon. So yes, it was a difficult decision that I had to make, but as a mayor, sometimes in my position, I had to make those calls. And I was looking at the long-term financial feasibility and sustainability of the city. Because we have this building that it's going to be alive in 2027, and we need to maintain it, costs $500,000 that I don't have in the budget. I'm going to give you another math exercise. Last year, our net new construction was 2.9%. It's equivalent of what? $170 million on net new construction. My capacity in the budget additional was $700,000. That's it. If I bring the 2023-24 budget, I don't do anything. I adjust by inflation and cost that increases, I have, and the net new construction give me only $700,000 of capacity. I received a bill from our health insurance, from our employees. The increase was 8.5. I had to contribute 1% to the retirement for all the employees. Retention of our employees is my key priority, okay? I am not gonna lay off people, I'm gonna maintain my staff because we are already understaffed. And then I had to do 2% COLA to my employees. And you know what? My $700,000 were there. That's it. So I don't have more capacity to add any other staff. And I know the police department needs 5 people, the fire department needs 6. Internally, we need more engineers, we need more planners. We are in a tough position because levy limits are killing us. No, Fitchburg, every municipality in Wisconsin. And yes, we have all that. Some people don't, when you understand, Richard, because you were in council, you were in finance. We have money, we have a lot of money that we receive, but they are restricted. People sometimes say, oh, you have all that debt capacity. You can do this, you can hire people. No, we don't use debt to hire people. We don't use grant. my staff know that they cannot put a grant for staffing. You can bring a grant to fix a road, to buy an equipment, but we are not going to apply for grant to hire people because it's a structural deficit. And these people in the council, they know what is structural deficit is. So, yes, it's hard, but I had to make that call, and if I had to do it again, I will do it again and again, because I have to.
Yeah, just a couple more things on the wheel tax. So it's going to fund expansion of transit, and a key point is that we'll make the 65 and the 75, we'll upgrade those from commuter hours only to all-day service. And importantly, what this is going to do is open up paratransit within 3/4 of a mile of those routes. Right now, if you watch any senior center meeting, any Commission on Aging well meeting, they will talk about transportation issues. It's just, there are so many people who would love to take advantage of our senior center and just can't because they don't have the transportation options. So that is a very important aspect of the expansion of transit.
Yeah. And it's not just that people nearby can get the paratransit, it's also that now people that can get paratransit already can access the senior center and the community center and the library because it's not on that type of bus line. No one can get there, even if they have bus service. So it will really improve transit access.
Yeah, and for the entire city. So we'll be able to get, from Target over to Terra Vesta now via public transit, when that was never possible before, and you can do that all day. You had mentioned you were doing the math on the $1 million. There's publicly available information on the Department of Transportation website, and I looked it up, and in 2024 they said the city of Fitchburg had north of 27,000 registered vehicles. So $40 times 25,000 would make the $1 million. So that's where that number comes from.
I'll also just say one more thing about bus rapid transit as well, since you brought that up as well. So bus rapid transit, the current timeline would be like 2028, talking about opening in 2028. So there's a lot of uncertainty between now and then. We're in a design phase right now. It has to be funded in part by the federal government. We could not afford to do it without them. My understanding from the transportation engineer is that money has been obligated, or there's uncertainty. But it is in a different place because it's been allocated in a different way in the budget, in past budgets. So we're not sure if it's going to be there, but we're going to continue planning in that way. The other thing we got to know is that we have 3 main arterials out of this city, right? We're talking about Verona Road, Fish Hatchery, and Syene, which is now going to be a real road because we're reconstructing it right now. We can only have so many cars go down those roads, and so if we're not increasing capacity for buses to be functional and usable, because right now a lot of these buses are not. They're not really convenient for people to use. So I did a week without driving. Bill challenged me to do a week without driving in September last year. And I work on the west side, and it was hard to get around on the bus. I did it all week, and it was challenging. And bus rapid transit's about making it more convenient so people can choose to use the bus and actually have it be a functional part of their life. And also Fish Hatchery, this is gonna be some of the densest part of the city. We need density on this corridor. It's the right place to put it. So if we put in bus rapid transit, it'll facilitate more density on this corridor, which I know I've heard from a lot of people too, that they like the idea of density here in this part of town. So we can continue that effort.
Yeah, just one more point though. We're also not taking away any general traffic lanes. So there's already a bus bike only lane on Fish Hatchery Road. We're just moving that from the right-hand side to the center lane. So it's the same number of general traffic lanes before and after BRT comes through.
The center lane?
Yeah, it'll be center running buses.
It's a cluster. Pardon my bridge.
We'll see.
Other questions?
Other questions, yes.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering.
Hold on.
It's a quick question. I'm just wondering if you can talk a little bit more about the project that you mentioned along the bike path and the creek that needs to be.
The Yarmouth Greenway?
Yeah.
Reconstruction? Yeah. I can tell you a little bit about it. Basically, correct me if I'm wrong, but the slopes kind of that, it just has no vegetation on it, so that it's just falling apart and kind of slowly degrading over time. It's that waterway.
Could we pull up a map? Is that possible?
Okay, it's
not
the waterway,
possible.
right, like, you know where a Walgreens is on Fish Hatchery and McKee? Across the street from that, but then a little bit farther down, there's like this like little river. That area is basically what it is and going down. And so if you've ever been down there, it's steep slopes, there's no vegetation, so the dirt is just falling through. Yeah, and then with stormwater, one of our responsibilities as a stormwater utility is to improve water quality. And so dumping a ton of dirt into the water system is just bad for the waterways and for the natural environment. So we're actually required by statute to improve that. And so it's one of those things that we just have to shore up those. So I believe that involves
Shore up the shores. I like what
shore
you did
up the
there.
shores. Yeah. So it's like vegetation and like other sort of barriers to kind of help make sure that it's solid and it's not constantly falling down. No, I'm not even sure that it'll be something that you will track that much. It's usually more subtle than that, but we'll have to. It remains to be seen, I guess. But yeah, do let us know if it becomes disruptive. I don't anticipate it would be.
All right, we'll go back to you.
Okay. And while I appreciate, you're in a tough position trying to get the budgets to balance, the outreach maybe could be a little better. Again, it's hard for me to comprehend. I understand you had $500,000 for the police operating budget. You must have had a current operating budget we're funding it with. Maybe it wasn't sufficient. You added new bus lines, can understand that. And then it sounds like Verona's stiffing us for the EMT part. But what I'm wondering is maybe to help in the outreach, public outreach for folks, if maybe it's in the newsletter or maybe it's these meetings of ask each area, if your program is flat, what's your priority of what we're going to do and stuff? And that might help the public understand where you're at. You mentioned the EMT. Okay, we probably got more of the response, but I've seen a lot of times where a fire truck's following the ambulance with it. Do we need to have that type of activity? Same with, you mentioned the BRT a lot and the bus. Has anyone reached out to the businesses at the industrial park to say, where do most of your folks come from? And will they take a BRT if it goes all the way to the industrial park? I don't know. It just, having those type of discussions, or at least publish it more, might help the pill of, okay, taking a wheel tax, it's funding stuff that we can't fund no more.
So how many people are on have a notify me from the city? Oh, only a couple? Okay, it's a few people. So you can, on the city website, there's a whole section called Notify Me, and you can get updates about literally, you can get updates about literally anything. So when I first moved to Fitchburg, I signed up for it, and I get text messages. So I just get a quick text message every time a city releases. I signed up for several. There's a kind of like a general news, there's public works updates, there's police press releases, all sorts of different things. So sign up for anything that you want. You can either get it to your email, or you can get it to a text message. I like the text message because it just instantly comes through. I look at it for the 5-word headline, and I click on the link if I want to see it. Highly recommend. So if you want to, we did a ton of advertising through city channels. The problem that we have is a lot of people are not paying attention to city channels for whatever reason. The other thing too is that the alders, we currently do not have a way to communicate via the city website. This is something that I want changed. We've been talking about it for years. We're going to do a website update in the near future. But Julia and we have a newsletter. We run that on our own. I pay for my own website. I pay for it out of my pocket, So I have that newsletter. No one can sign for it on the city website because it's not through the city. So I try to get people on my newsletter, but I can't always. Honestly, if anyone wants to be on it, I'd love to have you. I only have, 450 people on it, so it could be a lot better than it is. The communication is such a challenge. The EMS, and just so you know too, the EMS, Verona's been subsidizing us for a decade now. Yeah. They've basically been paying money out of their budget for Fitchburg calls. So it's basically just we're going to a system now where we're going to be paying for what our calls actually are. So
it's going to be a fair contract.
It's fair now. It was unfair before.
I will say it's fair. It's fair for all of us now. The communication. We are very intentional with the outreach. This council is very intentional with everything that comes to us. We say, how is the outreach? And, we don't have a communication person internally in the city. This is what the referendum will one of the a staffing position was a communication director. But we really we are at that point where the city need to have someone in charge of the communication, because now it's like, if you look at all the Fitchburg Star information about the city, you know who does that? Me. I put the picture, I send the article, and I send it to the editor. I have to do that. This is how bad we are. And we are very intentional with the communication that goes in Spanish. We're trying to send our information, our postcard in Spanish too. What else?
I just grab one of these too. If you don't have Notify Me, it has information on here. And then if you hear from other residents that feel out of the loop, please have them reach out to us. We can add them to our newsletter. I can give them the direct link to the Notify Me, because I know it's not that easy necessarily to find something on the city website, unfortunately. This one it's on the front page. So spread the word, because they really are helpful, but people just don't know, and I don't blame them for not knowing, but I wish they did.
And one more thing about the Notify Me, go back every month or two, because new projects get into that list and old projects fall off as they are completed.
So we have 4 minutes left, so let's
Okay, so we'll get one quick question from Richard, and then we'll move over to Bill.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
I'd just like to make one comment on why do the ambulances follow the fire trucks, and that if the new fire chief wants to expand on what I think is there, and Jason was part of this. I actually voted when I was an alder for one of the largest tax increases that the city ever had. So I get it. And that's when we did career staff for the fire department so all of us could be better covered. And I think most of the firemen, Jason and Chief, are they still paramedics? Okay, because sometimes if the ambulance couldn't get there fast enough, the fire truck could for safety reasons. So it never, I don't really mind when I see those two pair up, or the fire truck go first and then the ambulance follows back. But I think you guys do a nice job of public safety. And so thank you for that.
All of our career firefighters are EMT. There's levels of EMT. Paramedic is the highest. So the EMT basic level is what all of our career members are required to do. Then there's also another level called emergency medical responder, which all of our part-time staff is required to be at a minimum. I can tell, if I have just a second to expand. Oh, yeah. Okay. So as far as fire trucks following ambulances or vice versa, so the city and most of the country now has smart dispatching. It's called emergency medical dispatching, that the person that answers the 911 call goes through a series of very well scripted questions and algorithms that lead them to classify an emergency medical incident into 4 categories. Alpha, which would be the least of the worrisome incidents, to Delta, which is be somebody in cardiac arrest or significant respiratory emergency or something like that. So based on those qualifiers, we determine how many people we need to send there. So for those Alpha and Bravo levels, is what we call them, you may just get an ambulance. For the Charlies and the Deltas that we call them, you need a minimum of at least 5 people. So if somebody goes into cardiac arrest, their heart stops. To adequately do CPR, administer advanced cardiac medications, and all the different procedures that go along with that in the time frame that really the nation is seeking for us as responders. It's a minimum of 5 people, not to mention whatever obstacles we need to overcome to get them to the ambulance, get them to the hospital in our expected timeframes. So that's why you see that co-response to get that 5-person level. And sometimes, as you can imagine, as a 911 dispatcher, people are very excited, upset, distraught. They're not, able to speak and describe things the right way. So oftentimes we have to think in the worst case scenario of, okay, we need that 5-person response because we just truly don't know what's going on. So that's why you see the multiple units respond. So hopefully that answers the question.
Okay, Bill, and then you, Richard, you have you're done. Okay, Bill.
I just, something that struck me for a long time on the subject of property taxes, and of course, property tax is a major burden for many people. It's a lot of money, but I pay about, I assume, something like $2,500 a year for the city. That's about $7 or $8 a day to me. For that, I get a police protection, fire protection, streets built and maintained and cleaned, a library, a senior center. I get a lot. I think city government is a great deal for the money.
I agree.
Thank you for that.
Okay, any other questions, comments? Yes.
So I'm not the interpreter, I am a
Resident? Okay. Okay.
Okay, so
Wait a second. Un momentito.
okay. When I moved here and then we had our kids, it's always the question about the schools. You are saying that we need more houses more in order to be able to have people come to Fitchburg, live here, work here, so forth and so on. Where are you going to be sending those kids to school? The Leopold School, Cherokee School, they are super overcrowded. And I think that more and more young people with kids are saying we better go to Verona, although I know that at some point we had open enrollment. I benefit from that with Verona. And if the school district is a huge portion of our taxes, I remember when they were asking, would you like a library or do you have another alternative project? I said, I would like an elementary school here in Fitchburg. So are there any thoughts about that? At some point when the city continues to grow, are we going to be at a point where we could consider to have at least our own elementary and middle school and get away from Madison School District?
No. I will be honest with you. No. With the city of Fitchburg, we have 3 great school districts. It depends where do you live in the city of Fitchburg. You know, this area belongs to the Madison School District. But then we have the Verona. We have some part of Fitchburg that people send the kid to the Verona School District and some in Oregon. In every housing, a big project that the city does, we include people representation from the school district. They know what we are doing, because if we are building more houses in the Verona area, we need to talk to them and say, you know, we are going to have that growth. It means more kids are going to go to your school. So there are always representation from the school district in this conversation. The Verona School District is planning to expand, another elementary school in the city of Fitchburg in the next 5 years. Is where behind Wingra, that area. They already purchased like 7 parcels there last year. So most of all that land was purchased by the Verona School District for an elementary school in the next 5 years. They also purchased the Lacey Farm on Lacey Road, and they're planning to build a high school in maybe 15, 20 years to absorb the growth of Fitchburg. And then the Oregon School District also, they are planning to build elementary school, middle school. Where is Mike? On the southeast, of. So we talk to the school district and we know that their plans, they know our growth plan. Yeah, so we collaborate with them, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other question? It's 8:34 and I will say thank you, muchas gracias. It was great. And if you have any other question, please reach out to us. I love to have coffee with you. Saturday morning is my best time. And if you want to know more about the budget, the capital improvement plan, please reach out to us. I prefer to have this type of conversation one-to-one so you can understand better. So gracias. And thank you for city staff for coming. Okay? Thank you. Bye.